Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, friends. How are you today? I hope you are the best conditions. Okay, stay healthy. My name is Sofianis Fitriana, and you can call me Sophie. And now I will try to explain about psychological factors of second language acquisitions. Okay, well, language is the method of expressing ideas and emotions in the form of signs and symbols. These signs and symbols are used to encode and decode the information. There are many languages spoken in the world. The first language learned by a baby is his or her mother tongue. It is the language which he or she listens to from his or her birth. Any other language learned or acquired is known as the second language. English is learned by the process of second language acquisitions. In fact, a young child can learn a second language faster than an adult can learn the same language. There are many factors that influence the success of learning, especially learning English as a foreign language. Those factors can be classified into two groups, namely internal and external factors. Okay, for the first, internal factors commonly involve the internal aspects like psyche, psychology, and anxiety. For the external factors may cover any aspects out of the learners, such as environment, school, and family, and etc. And now, in these sessions, I will try to explain about one of internal factors is psychological factors of second language acquisitions. Okay, psychological factors. There are 3 points of psychological factors of second language acquisitions. For the first is cognitive, the second is cognitive, the third is affective. Okay, for the first point is about cognitive factors. The influence, the processing, storing, and retrieval of information. In other words, we can call it by language aptitude. For the second point is cognitive factors. It has attached the most established a goal and maintain effort to achieve it. We can call it by motivation. For the third is about affective factors. It is determined whether people respond positively or negatively to specific situations. We can call it by language anxiety. Okay, for the first is about language aptitude. Traditionally viewed as a special talent for language learning, learners who possess this ability who are able to use them appropriately in the learning situations they find themselves. Aptitude is defined as the capacity to learn possessed by someone. It is based on Higart in Slamato, 1988. In other opinion, based on Father Skehan, 1989, states that aptitude is consistently the best predictor of language learning success. Okay, the existence of aptitude in foreign or second language learning is very influential. There is evidence in the research literature that some individuals have an exceptional aptitude for language learning. In bahasa, sebagai kapasitas untuk belajar yang dimiliki oleh seseorang, bakat secara konsisten merupakan prediktor terbaik keberhasilan belajar bahasa. Sebuah penelitian menunjukkan bahwa beberapa individu memiliki bakat yang luar biasa untuk belajar bahasa. Okay, the next is about Carroll's model of language aptitude. To measure someone who understands about second language acquisitions, Carroll ever did the test. It's called by Modern Language Aptitude Test, or MLAT. There are 4 points in this test. For the first is about phonemic coding ability, grammatical sensitivity, inductive language learning ability, And the last is rote learning ability. For the first, phonemic coding ability, the ability to code unfamiliar sounds in a way that they can be remembered later. When someone heard about unfamiliar word or unfamiliar sounds, absolutely, they will be look for about it. And when they have got the meaning, they will remember about it. And then for the second is grammatical sensitivity, the ability to recognize the grammatical functions of words in sentences. When we talk about something to someone, we have to know what we mean. We have to pay attention more about the structure, the grammatical. For the third is about inductive language learning ability. It is the ability to identify patterns of correspondence and relationship between form and meaning. When we deliver information for someone, we have to pay attention more about the meaning. Not only just speak, but also it must have the meaning. It must have the purpose, and it must have the goal. For the last is rote learning ability, the ability to form and remember associations between first language and second language vocabulary items. In Indonesia, first language is a mother tongue, especially for Japanese. So the first language is Japanese language, and the second language is Bahasa Indonesia, like that. Okay. The next theory, both De Cashers and Hart's 1997 studies suggest that the importance of language aptitude depends on the type of learning, but we have also seen that this is a controversial issue. Now, we will consider two studies that investigated the role of language aptitude in implicit and explicit learning. In our opinion, based on the graph 1997 investigated the relationship between two measures of language aptitude. It is grammatical sensitivity and memory. And then for implicit instructions, it means that where the rules were explained. For the explicit instructions, where there was no rule explanations. Okay, now the second point is about affective. The second point of the psychological factors of second language acquisitions is about affective. There are 4 points in affective. First is motivations. The second is language anxiety. Self-esteem, attitudes, and empathy. Okay, for the first is motivation. It is involved for there are 3 involvement. For the first, the reasons a learner has for needing or wanting to learn any second language is about motivational orientations. For the second, involving is the effort a learner makes to learn the second language, the learner's persistence with the learning task, and the impact immediate context has on this. Behavioral motivations. For the last involvement is the effect that learner's evaluations of his or her progress has on subsequent learning behavior, like attributional motivation. It is impulse, emotion, or desire that causes one to act in a certain way. Various individual, sociocultural, and instructional factors impact motivations. There are 2 kinds of motivations. There are intrinsic motivations and extrinsic motivations. Okay, for the intrinsic motivations, it comes from inside of self, like knowledge, accomplishment, stimulations, spirit, and etc. And then for the extrinsic motivations, it comes from outside of self, such as factors of parents, appreciations, environment, rewarding, and etc. Okay, the next is language anxiety. The anxiety that results from learners' emotional responses to the learning conditions they experience in a specific situations. Anxiety when learning a second language can be seen as similar to general feelings of tensions that students experience in the classroom. Almost everyone feels some anxiety when learning, and having to perform in a new language compounds anxious feelings. Conceptualized as a situation-specific personality trait having two psychological components, that is emotional and negative self-related cognitions. One of research gives an example that the anxiety provoked her students in speaking English in China. It happens especially when they speak the target language in public, especially in front of the native speakers. The anxiety occurs when English foreign language learners become lost for words in expected situations. Certainly, personality patterns will cause students to reach negatively to our verbal instructions and commands. For the next is about self-esteem. A large part of a person's feeling revolves around the way a person feels about himself or herself. There are 3 points of self-esteem. For the first is global, specific, and task. For the first one is global, overall assessment of one words. For example, when we are in China, we will face many culture or behavior that this is very awareness in global aspect. Like most of Chinese like to eat a fresh salmon. They usually give bowing a sign of respect for people, and all of people in the world know that it can be called by ciri khas in bahasa. And for the second point is specific. It is self-evaluations in various situations. For example, when we work in a school, then we got a task to coordinate some of the regulations in the school. Before we accept it, surely we will think again about it. Why? What we can do it or no? Because the situation is you are the newest teacher in that school. It is about self-evaluation in a specific place. For the third point is about tasks, self-evaluations in particular tasks. For example, we are as a student, then we got the homework about biology. Well, this is about yourself, your ability to do your task. There is no relation with outside of you. If you try to do that homework hardly, it will improve your personal skill in biology lesson and you can achieve the best score of you. Okay, for the last is about attitude. Attitude play a critical role in learning second language, for example, English. Attitude toward self, toward language, toward English speaking people, and toward the teacher and the classroom environment affects students. It is defined as a manner of acting, feeling, or thinking that shows one disposition's opinion. It based on Webster 1996. It also assumes that if we have a positive attitude toward the language learned, we will try hard to learn that language seriously. For the attitude develops as a result of experiences, both direct and vicarious, which are greatly influenced by people in the immediate environment, like a parents and then teachers. Peer attitude towards self is the target of language and the people who speak. Some studies show that there is a positive relationship between attitude and second language acquisitions. Students' attitude toward the language he learns may vary. He may feel bored, happy, confident, frustrated, and angry, or etc. Okay, that's all from me. It's about psychological factors of second language acquisition. That's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.